was planning on getting this out a lot sooner than what I did. All thanks to Coddy for making me play Rust for the past couple of days and making me a paranoid schizophrenic who was building an entire base full of metal and stone just so no one would break into it. I'll defer that until another video. If I keep playing Rust, I'll probably make one on it, but we'll see how time goes. Back on to the matter of hand. Movement and map awareness. These are two of the most important factors within Evolve now, I would say. After the changes with the orbital sensor, it's become very difficult to use the hiding tactic, as I've previously mentioned in my videos. Once you've marked an area, if you're moving too slowly, you'll easily be found, assuming that the tracker hasn't worn off by the time they've gotten to you. As you can see in the video on the right hand side, I've left the map up, and there's a very specific reason for that. I've seen far too many monsters, as playing as a trapper, go into corners where they just get trapped and easily domed. Like in most games, you want to keep your options as open as possible in order to make decisions which will save you the most amount of time. My preference for the Wraith comes from its mobility skill. Unlike the Goliath and the Gorgon, you do not need the terrain to maximize your movement skill. And as for the reason why I picked the Wraith over the Kraken is because when you're in an area with low coverage, it's quite easy to be spotted from a distance. Depending on how the Behemoth turns out after the rework, I may end up start playing him more over the Wraith, but it's completely dependent on his abilities. If he's still in the ball form, I'll definitely enjoy that because it was always fun just wrecking through terrain and building up momentum very quickly to make a great amount of distance. The perks I take will always reflect how I feel about movement when it comes to Evolve. For Bronze, I take Brawler, for Silver I take Mutated Haste, and for Gold I take Evolved Haste. With my current level in these perks, this works out as 8% climb speed, 4% travel regen, 4% damage reduction, and 25% movement speed increase to the base levels of the monster. As I earn more credits, I'll eventually be able to put more points into these perks, increasing the modifiers towards the monster I'm playing. And obviously with more modifiers, the greater the chance of victory is. I believe at stage 2 you're able to competently take on the enemy team. However, I would usually wait until stage 3 for obvious reasons, such as having more points in your abilities, and also having more health to increase your survivability upon challenging them. It is always possible to defeat the hunters at stage 1, however it is increasingly more difficult rather than taking them on at stage 2 or stage 3. If the hunter team is at all competent, then you will definitely struggle at stage 1. Planet Scan has given the hunters a massive advantage, which is the fourth ability of the trapper. The way around this is to understand when people often use it. If the hunters do not have immediate sight of the monster, the trapper will often use it immediately after leaving the ship. The other occasion when this is used, other than when they are randomly roaming and unable to see the monster, is immediately after the dome has finished. This gives the team an idea of which direction you're going to be heading in. My advice for both these situations is to move in one direction once being scanned, and after the planet scan is finished, head in the other direction in order to confuse the hunters and make them waste their time, as well as increasing the distance between you and them. Planet scan only lasts for a couple seconds. The scan goes on a half-a-minute cooldown after it has been used. It is imperative that you use this time to grow distance as well as feed whenever possible. Planet scan for the trapper will show an infrared sight of the monster. However, for the other hunters, it will only show a small indicator in the bottom of their screen as to which direction the monster is generally in. The infrared image shows which way you're facing as well. That is the reason why it's imperative that you change direction after the scan, not before, or else the trapper will see what you're trying to do. Although a stealth playstyle has been somewhat removed from the game due to the planet scan, it's also important to remember that the hunters are always in first person. Because of this, you are able to hide out of sight, even though you can see them yourself as the monster. This makes it possible to let the hunters pass by while hiding under a cliff face, if they're going to be jumping over it to follow your tracks. In these kind of situations, it's important to crouch down a little bit prior to hiding, due to the fact that it would be suspicious as to why your tracks have disappeared so suddenly. I've skipped the video footage a little bit forward so people can watch the fight that happens between me and this team of hunters. As usual, I'm very grateful for people who have watched this far, and I hope that you found the information I've given as helpful, because I've seen a lot of people complaining about the planet tracker being too overpowered due to it eliminating the stealth playstyle. If you enjoyed this content, I would be very grateful if you give it a like, and if you want to stay tuned for some more, just hit that subscribe button.